Good morning, guys. Today is Wednesday, May 27th, and this is your math lesson for today. We're going to practice writing decimals and fractions for the same picture. It's part of chapter 12. So this is your place value chart. It represents the whole, which is to the left, and the decimal or the fraction are the parts that are to the right. Okay, the decimal point is in the middle. And you can see that it's listed here in orange. Okay, so the place value is the position of the digit in a number that is used to determine the value of the digit. So if you have a 1 in the tenths place, then you have 1/10. If you have a 2 in the tens place, it means you have 20. All right, and here's that converting decimals chart. And you can see that in the top picture, the grid is broken down into hundreds, and I have 20 shaded, which means I have 20 hundreds. In the bottom, I have my picture is split into tenths. I have 2 tenths covered, so my fraction is 2 tenths, but they are both equivalent. So in our books, which you don't have, so I have it posted here, our solvent share of the day is, according to a survey, 7 out of 10 pet owners have a dog. Use a drawing to show this relationship. Solve the problem any way you choose. So we're going to go ahead and do that together. You don't need to solve, you just have to follow along. So a way that I can solve this problem is by drawing a picture and splitting into tenths. So I have here one whole. I have it split into tenth strips, and 7 of them are colored. So the fraction that represents that is, I would say 7 out of 10 pet owners have dogs, and that would be 7 tenths. Now, looking back at our place value chart, I would put a 7 under the column that says tenths, and I would write 0 point or decimal point 7, and that is 7 tenths. So here we have our place value chart. And I have it here so we can understand how to write this picture and how it correlates with the place value chart. So it says write a decimal and a fraction for the diagram. Well, it's easiest to write a fraction first. So I have to know that there are 100 pieces in this fraction. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to write 100. And then I'm going to draw my little fraction line. But then I have to figure out how many are colored green. So I know that in each column, there are 10 pieces. So this would be 10. I'm going to alternate. This would be 20. Then this would be the third one. So this would be 30. This is the fourth one. So it would be 40. This is the fifth one. So it would be 50. And then I have 1, 2. So I have 52 hundreds. And that's how you would write it in a decimal. I'm sorry, in a fraction. But let's write that in a decimal. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my decimal up here. And I know that I have to make sure that my number extends to the hundreds column, which is here. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to write the number 52. And that means I have 52 hundredths. So your very last decimal of your very last digit of your number has to make sure that it ends in the column that matches your denominator. Okay, so if it was thousands, I'd have to make sure that my 2 landed in the thousands column. So it would look like this. All right, just as an example, if I had 52 over 1,000, I would come over here and I'd have to make sure that my 2 is in the thousands, then a 5, and then I'd have to put a 0 for a placeholder. Okay? So make sure that the last digit of your number is found in the column of what your denominator says. So if it's hundredths, you need to make sure that 2 falls in the hundredths. All right, so let's practice writing a fraction and a decimal for this again. Okay, so remember this is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and then I have 1, 2. So I know my whole is 100. And then I need to make sure that I put my numerator as the 52 that I have. And then another quick way to do it is, how many zeros do you have in your denominator? Remember that imaginary decimal point is over here. Let's move it back 1 space, 2 space to match the zeros. And now my decimal is 0.52. All right, so let's practice here. So I know that this is 100, so I have 100 over 100 here. And 100 over 100 is also equal to 1. Okay? Then I have 10, 20, 30. This is 40, 50. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have 100, and then I have 56 over 100 because I have a second whole. So my fraction would be 1 and 56. Sorry, it's a little sloppy. Hundreds. Now, how would I represent that in a decimal? Let's get that place value chart going. Here's my decimal point. These are the ones, tens, hundreds. And then after the decimal are the tenths. So I'm going to represent it as T for 10 and then a TH, since it ends in the tenths because it's a piece of. Hundreds, hundredths. Okay. So now I know I have one whole, so I'm going to put my 1 in the ones place, and then I have 56. So my 1 and 56 hundredths is represented as 1. The decimal point means and then 56 hundredths because it ends in the hundredths column. So let's practice understanding how to write a fraction and a decimal for each thing that they're asking. Okay, so the red is the corn, the orange is the spinach, the yellow is the beans, and the green is the cucumbers. So now I have 100 out of everything, so we know that each one needs to have 100 as their denominator. Because the 100 is our whole. Okay? So now, out of the 100, how much is corn? Well, I know one column is 10. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4. It's hard to see the red. 5, 6, 7, 8. So I know that 10 plus 8 equals 18. All right, so we're going to draw all the fractions first. Then we'll do the decimals. So now the spinach, I have 10. Here's 1 10. Here's 2 10. So I know that I have 20 and 1 extra. So I have 21. Then for my beans, I have, here's a 10. Here's a 10. But I know that I had 1 in this column was a spinach. So now I have 20 plus 9. 29 is here, right? Then I don't have a full column here. So 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. So I have 37 beans. Now I have 10, 20, 21, 22. Now if you add up all of these numbers together, they should equal 100. So I have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 89, 90, 98. So I miscounted somewhere, so we have to go back. So let's look again. And I see I made a mistake in my spinach because I only counted 21, but I forgot these 2 small spots here. And I know that I actually have 23. All right, so it's always good to do a check and make sure that you have your whole. All right. So now I need to represent 1800ths as a decimal. So I know that there's 2 zeros. So I'm going to go back 2 spaces. 1, 2. So that's 0.18. I have 23. I have to go back 2 spaces. So that's 0.12, 0.23. So I have 37 out of 100. So I'm going to go back because there's 2 zeros. Go back 2 spaces. 1, 2. So it's 0.37. And go back 2 spaces for my cucumbers. 1, 2. And that's 0.22. So that's 22 hundredths. All right, so now you guys are going to log into Envisions. You will complete the fractions and decimals quick check. Okay, and I have here the title, so you know what you're looking for. All right, once you're done with your quick check, please work on reflex until you hit the green light, and then you're going to do the IXL diagnostic for 10 minutes. All right, and that is your assignment for today. There is nothing to turn in today. This is just a video for review. And then you are going to, like I said, log into your Envisions quick check. It is 5 questions. You need to refer back to my examples to help you, but you must work on this assignment independently. Okay? Do your best. It's all I expect. And post any questions on the Teams board. Have a great day, guys. It is Wednesday, so have a wonderful Wednesday.